Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Sports Talk with the Guys, home of the Money Quarterbacks on Saturday. It's I'm your co-host. This is Big Dog. Hope everybody is doing fine. I will hopefully have my co-hosts joining me shortly, but for now, I will be going solo. Um, in keeping in tradition with Scorekeeper, as he opens on usually on with Sports Talk with the Guys. Right now in Riverside, California, it is 51 degrees, going up to a high of 76. It is, let's see, where's all the rest of the info? We have sunrise coming up at 6:12, so coming up very, very shortly. Visibility is 9 miles uh, with a 289.98 pressure. And it says that it feels like 50. So it's a little cooler than what it actually is, but it should be a beautiful day. One of the first nice weekends that we're having here in the Inland Empire in Southern California. Um, let's see what's happening in history right now, sports history. Sorry, I should have had this going. As we all know, today is April 20th. Um, some people are more happy with this day than others, as you may or may not know. But on this day in sports history, in 1903, you had the Boston Marathon, won by Irishman John Jordan in 2 hours, 41 minutes, and 29 seconds. In 1908, it was the 12th Boston Marathon, won by Tom Morrissey in 2:25:43. In 1908, it was the opening day of competition in the New South Wales Rugby League. In 1910, the Cleveland Naps Addie Jones got his second no-hitter, beating Chicago 1-0. Wow, this is an important day. In 1912, Fenway Park officially opens, and the Red Sox beat the New York Highlanders 7-6 in 11 innings. Also in 1912, Tiger Stadium in Detroit opens. Tigers beat the Indians 6-5. Sorry about that, Almighty. In 1914, the 18th Boston Marathon is won by Canadian James Duffy in 2:25:01. In 1916, the Cubs play their first game at Weeghman Park, now Wrigley Field, and beat the Cincinnati Reds 7-6. Wow, that's three that opened up today. That is pretty odd. I'll talk to scorekeeper in case if he makes it in. I'll ask him about that one. Managers Philly Gravy Kravitz puts himself in as pitch hitter, and his three-run homer beats the Giants 3-0. That was in 1920. In 25, the 29th Boston Marathon was won by Charles Malore in 2:33 flat. In 31, the 35th Boston Marathon is won by Jim Hennigan in 2:46:45. In 1931, the British House of Commons agrees for sports to be played on a Sunday. In 1936, uh, the 40th Boston Marathon is won by Ellison Brown in 2:33:40. In 1939, Ted Williams got his first major league hit coming off of New York Yankees fellow future Hall of Famer Red Ruffing in Boston's 2-0 opening day defeat uh, at Yankee Stadium in New York. In 1941, the Dodgers start to wear liners in their caps. In 1942, the 46th Boston Marathon was won by Joe Smith in 2:26:51. In 1943, wow, Braves manager Casey Stengel is struck by a taxi and fractures his leg. In 44, the NFL legalizes coaching from the bench. In 45, the Cleveland Browns organization is formed by Arthur Mickey McBride. In 46 was the first baseball broadcast in Chicago, Cards versus the Cubs. In 1949, jockey Bill Shoemaker wins his first race in Albany, California. In 1950, in Baltimore, in Maryland's Memorial Stadium opens Orioles of the International League. In 1953, the 57th Boston Marathon is won by Kenzo Yamada of Japan in 2:18:51. In 1958, the Stanley Cup Final in Boston Garden, the Montreal Canadiens three-peat and beat the Bruins 5-3 for a 4-2 series win. Once again, in 59, the 63rd Boston Marathon is won by Inio Okasanen of Finland in 2:22:42. All right, let's see. In 1967, New York Mets pitcher Tom Seaver wins his very first game in helping beating the Cubs 6-1. In 1970, the 74th Boston Marathon, Englishman Ron Hill wins in 2:10:30, a U.S. record. American Sarah Mae Berman is the first woman for the second straight year at 3:05:07. That was unsanctioned. In 1981, the 85th Boston Marathon, Toshihiko Seko of Japan wins the men's race at 2:09:26, and Alison Rowe of New Zealand takes the women's title at 2:26:46. In 1982, the Braves become the first team to win the first 12 games of the season. In 85, Carlos Lopez runs a world record marathon at 2:07:12. In 86, Michael Jordan sets an NBA playoff record of 63 points in a game. In 1987, the 91st Boston Marathon, Toshihiko Seko of Japan wins for the second title at 2:11:50, and Rosa Mota of Portugal claims the women's event at 2:25:21, her first of 3 race victories. In 1988, Baltimore Orioles set the worst record to start the season at 0-14. They will go on to be 0-21. In 1988, the New Jersey Devils win the first. In 1988, New Jersey Devils' first playoff hat trick is Eric Breton. In 1988, the Yanks home run 9,999, Dave Winfield, and 10,000, Mr. Washington, and 10,001, it looks like it's Jack Clark. In 1990, 8 2/3 innings, perfect game pitched by Brian Holman of the Oakland A's is spoiled by a home run hit by Ken Phillips. In 1990, Pete Rose pleads guilty to hiding $300,000 in income. In 1991, Mark Lenzi is the first diver to score 100 points on a dive. He scored a 101.85. In 1996 New York draft, Keyshawn Johnson from USC is the first pick of the Jets. In 1996, the Chicago Bulls win a record 72 games in a season. In 97, the first baseball game in Hawaii, the Cards beat the Padres in a doubleheader. Also in 1997, the Cubs beat the Mets, ending the National League's worst opening, having lost 14 straight games. In 1997, Mark McGwire is the fourth to home run on Detroit left field roof. The others are Frank Howard, Harmon Killebrew, and Cecil Fielder. In 97, Senior PGA Championship, PGA National defending champion Hale Irwin wins his second of 3 straight Senior PGA Championships by straighting New York runners-up Dale Douglas and Jack Nicklaus by 12 strokes. Let's see. In 2008, Danica Patrick, driving for Andretti Green Racing, wins the Indy Japan 300 at Twin Wing Motegi, the first female driver in history to win an Indy Car Series race. Unfortunately, in 2013, 5 snowboarders are killed by an avalanche in Loveland Pass in Colorado. Let's see. In 1921, all 6 EPL clubs withdraw from the controversial European Super League just 3 days after it was announced. Chelsea, Manchester City, Liverpool, Arsenal, and Manchester United and Tottenham. And that about does it. That was a lot there, folks. 420, I guess, was a very popular day in sports, and it seems that is when the Boston Marathon is always held, because that was predominantly what I was talking about. So I hope you guys, all the listeners, are doing well. Hopefully you've had a great week. Lots of things happening in sports. Let's just jump right in, because we'll just keep it going. Get to my notes. And sports news. Here we go. Excuse me, folks. I am so sorry. All right, let's do a little. So we had the little hockey history happen just the other day. So Jaromir Jagr returned to action Thursday for the first time since turning 52, and immediately scored as he surpassed legend Gordie Howe to become the oldest player taking regular shifts in professional hockey. Howe, known of course as Mr. Hockey, was 52 years, 11 days old when he played in his final NHL game in 1980. The Canadian later played a single shift with the Detroit Vipers of the International Hockey League in 1997 at the age of 69. Howe died in 2016. Jagr hasn't played since February 10th, 5 days before turning 52, and he rejoined the Kladno Knights, a top division team from his Czech Republic hometown, and in the second game of the playoff regulation series against Vestin. The former NHL hockey great in his first shift was unmarked when he collected the puck in front of the goal and scored to give Kladno a 1-0 lead with 1:59 into the game. It was Jagr's 16th game and his 36th professional season. He also had an assist. The team won 7-2. Um, of course, during the break, Jagger traveled to Pittsburgh, where his Penguins retired, where the Penguins retired his iconic number 68 on February 18th. Jagger, of course, played 11 seasons with the Penguins, winning the Stanley Cup titles in 91-92. Says that he made his debut for Kladno as a teenager and returned to the club, for which he now owns in 2018 after the Calgary Flames released the NHL's second all-time leading point scorer. It is not clear when he might retire. Good for you, Mr. Jagger. Of course, we are now less than 100 days away from the Summer Olympics. I personally prefer the Summer Olympics to the Winter Olympics. A lot more stuff I like to watch. Track and field is usually really fun to watch. Of course, men's basketball, since of course I'm the basketball person. But overall, I usually just like watching the Summer Olympics a lot better. Um, so we'll see how that goes. It'll be interesting. Of course, it's in Paris. We'll see how it goes as far as the facilities and such, as the players will start getting there probably about 2 to 3 weeks beforehand. So that would be great to find out, to see how that goes. So let's see here. Actually, I might have to do this a little different, folks. My phone is dying. It has all my notes. Let me pull this a little bit more. Sorry about having a look at my big old double chin. There we go. All right, let's go do some NBA news. And of course, the playoffs officially start today after the play-in tournament was completed. So in the Eastern play-in, it was a number nine Bulls taking on the number 10 Hawks, and it was the number 7 Sixers taking on the number 8 Heat. The Heat beat the Sixers to take the. Let me make sure. I'm sorry. So the Sixers beat the Heat. I take that back. I'm sorry. To claim the number 7 spot. And then the Heat beat the Hawks, who, of course, lost to the Sixers, to take the number 8 spot. And in the West, the Lakers beat the Pelicans to take the 7th spot. And the Pelicans beat, how they beat? The Pelicans beat the Kings. The Kings beat the Golden State Warriors in the 9-10 spot. And then, as I said, the Pelicans beat the Kings to claim the number 8 spot. So the only difference on that one was that the Lakers jump up 1 spot. So in the playoffs starting, the playoffs will start today. But the brackets are the number 1 Celtic. This is in the East. The number 1 Celtics, who were the best team in all of basketball record-wise, will take on the number 8 Heat on Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern time on ABC. The number 4 Cavaliers take on the number 5 Magic. That will be today at 1 p.m. Eastern time on ESPN. The other game today in the East will be the number 2 Knicks taking on the number 7 76ers at 6 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN. And rounding it out in the East would be tomorrow on Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on TNT. It'll be the number 3 Bucks taking on the number 6 Pacers. In the West, uh, the Upstart Thunder, who were the youngest team ever, uh, team wise, to claim the number 1 spot in for the playoffs. I believe their average age was 23.3 years of age. So the number 1 Thunder will take on the number 8 Pelicans on Sunday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time on TNT. And then in the upper bracket, to round off the upper bracket, will be the number 4 Clippers taking on the number 5 Mavericks on Sunday at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time on ABC. Then today at 3:30 Eastern Time on ESPN, it will be the number 3 Timberwolves taking on the number 6 Suns. And rounding out the bottom of the bracket, today at 5:30 p.m. At 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, it will be the world champion number 2 Denver Nuggets, who came in at the second best record. So the number 2 Nuggets will be taking on my very own number 7 Lakers. Of course, that game will be on ABC. So we'll see how that comes out. The Lakers, unfortunately, have not had a good time this year and last, as we all know, as we got swept by the Nuggets, who went on to win the title. Of course, the Nuggets beat the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals. Um, and then subsequently this season, the Denver Nuggets took the Lakers all 4 games that they played this season. So the Lakers are 0-8 these last 12 months or so. So it's going to be an uphill battle, but of course, I'm a true fan. I have faith. So, but we will see what goes on, and I'm hoping for the best. But there's been a few things happening. The Clippers were fined $25,000 for violating the NBA injury reporting rules. It was the final game of the season, and 3 of their regulars did not play, but it was not reported that it was. Let's pull that up. So the Clippers were fined $25,000 by the NBA for violating their league injury reporting rules on Friday. The team failed to accurately disclose the availability status of Paul George, Norman Powell, and Russell Westbrook before the game against Houston on Sunday, the final day of the regular season. None of the trio played, and none was listed on the team's injury report as being out because of injury or rest. And of course, the league has been cracking down on that, as they want all the regular players to that if they're not going to play, that it has to be reported as to why, whether it is rest or an injury. And if it is an injury, they do have to um, disclose what it is. 2 major injuries that were going on right now, of course. Giannis Antetokounmpo has an injured left, I believe, strained calf. Let me see what the injury is. Yeah, left calf strain. They're hoping that he returns sometime during the regular season, but as of right now, they are going into the playoffs without Giannis, which of course is their number 1 player, always a MVP candidate. So we'll see how how if they can play without him. Also, in a surprise, since yesterday was the play-in tournament, it was the Sacramento Kings, very high scoring, very tough team. They played the Pelicans, who were without Zion Williamson, their number one guy, and they were also still trying to integrate Brandon Ingram back into the lineup after being out, and he barely came back, I believe, with 2 or 3 games left in the season. So they were trying to get the chemistry back. With about 3 minutes left in the Lakers playing game against the Pelicans, Zion strained his calf also, and he was not available for the game last night. So everybody was pretty much writing off the Pelicans, but the Pelicans pulled it out. Tough game. They all caught fire. Brandon Ingram, took over again as leader, and they stunned. I call it. I was shocked. They stunned the Sacramento Kings, and that's why they're now in the playoffs. They take on, as I said, the upstart Oklahoma City Thunder. Um, in interesting news, as we reported it, I think it was last week or the week before, um, Jonte Porter, who of course is a brother of Michael Porter Jr. of the world champ Denver Nuggets. Um, as I reported, there was some heavy betting on the overs and unders, and always the bettors were taking the under on certain things for him playing, and it spiked on a couple of games, so it kind of perked up the eyes of the NBA, and it has been found now that Toronto Raptors Jonte Porter has been banned from the league for life after an investigation revealed that he had disclosed confidential information to bettors, limited his participation in at least one game while he was with the Raptors, and bet on NBA games while playing in the G League. The NBA said in a release announcing Porter's ban that the investigation remains open and that it is sharing information with federal authorities. ESPN reached out to the U.S. Department of Justice and the FBI for comment, but did not receive any. Quote, there is nothing more important than protecting the integrity of the NBA competition for our fans, our teams, and everyone associated with our sport, which is why Jonte Porter's blatant violations of our game and rules are met with the most severe punishment. This coming, end quote, this coming from, of course, Adam Silver, who is commissioner of the league. It says the NBA launched an investigation into Porter in late March after sportsbooks noticed irregular betting on the over-under on the Reserve Center's statistics in 2 Raptor games. In both games, Porter exited after playing only a few minutes. It says the NBA investigation found that Porter revealed information about his own health to a known sports bettor ahead of the March 20th game against the Sacramento Kings. Another bettor privy to the information placed an $80,000 same day game, $80,000 same game parlay bet that featured unders on Porter statistics and would win 1.1 million according to the NBA. Porter played just 3 minutes before leaving the game with an illness. The bet, which was placed at DraftKings, was not paid. The league investigation revealed Porter placed at least 13 bets on NBA games using an associate's online betting account. The bets range between $15 and $22,000, totaling $54,094, according to the league. The NBA said the total payout from those bets was $76,059, which is a net positive of $21,965. None of the bets involved uh, any which Porter played in. 3 of the bets were parlays, including one that included a bet with the on the Raptors to lose. All 3 bets lost, according to the NBA. Sports books also reported a spike in betting interest uh, um, interest on the under of several Porter's statistics ahead of January 26th game against Clippers. Porter just played 4 minutes before leaving the game with issues related to an eye injury suffered earlier in the week against the Grizzlies. He finished with no points, 3 rebounds, and 1 assist, all under the lines that the Sportsbook had set for his statistics. The Sportsbook industry source, from a source, Sportsbook industry source, who noted the surge in betting on Porter's prop bets in 2 games in question, told ESPN that some of the same betting accounts attempted to place a larger than normal bets on both instances. Most of the betting accounts that back Porter's unders in the games in question were located in Jersey, New York, and Arizona, according to multiple sources. Um, Says that the NBA was alerted to the suspicious activity by licensed sportsbooks and an organization that monitors legal betting markets. Las Vegas firm U.S. Integrity, which works with sportsbooks, leagues, and state gaming regulators, had monitored the Porter abnormalities and said it's proud to continue to support the NBA in its initiatives relating to regulated sports betting. The Raptors said they are fully supportive of the league's decision to ban Jontay Porter from the NBA and are grateful for the swift resolution to this investigation, and we will continue to cooperate with all ongoing inquiries. So I'm not quite sure how the ban works. I don't know if it's like baseball where you get a lifetime ban, but yet, after 2 years, you can ask to be reinstated. I'll have to look into that. But as of right now, Jontay Porter, who is probably a bench guy and not a big name, but still the fact that that he was doing this, um, of course, doesn't look good on Michael Porter Jr., who probably had nothing to do with this, but the fact, of course, it is his brother. They're both in the NBA, so um, just by association, I'm pretty sure he's being looked into. Um, I'm just guessing, but I have more Porter news. As I said, Michael Porter Jr. Is not having a good week. Of course, Jonte now is banned from uh, a permanent ban in the NBA, and Corbin Porter, the youngest brother of Michael Porter Jr., was sentenced Friday to 6 years in prison for a drunken driving crash that killed a woman in Colorado last year. In January of 2023, uh, there was a crash in Denver that killed Kathy Lyman Rothman and seriously injured her passenger. Porter, who caused the crash after he ran a red light and slammed into the other vehicle, received an additional 2 year sentence for the passenger's injuries that he will serve concurrently. According to the Denver Post, prosecutors on Friday said Porter was speeding and had a blood alcohol level of 0.19, which is more than twice the legal limit of 0.08. Porter pleaded guilty in February to the vehicular homicide and vehicular assault as part of a plea agreement that reduced his sentence to a maximum of 8 years. Uh, Porter told the courtroom on Friday, all I can really say is that I'm sorry. I know that I'm never going to be able to right that wrong. I never thought I'd be standing here. I thought I was invincible, and I wasn't. It wasn't the first time I chose to drink and drive. I am so sorry. Michael Porter Jr. testified on his brother's behalf on Friday hearing, saying in part, according to the Post, I know that if I were in your shoes and it was reversed, I would have had a lot of feelings of these feelings as well. Others also spoke on behalf of the Rothman family. Corbin Porter has been a freshman on the University of Denver's men's basketball team prior to the crash, averaging 11 points during the 21-22 season. So Yeah. So the Porter family is having a lot of problems. Um, we'll see how this affects his play in the playoffs. Um, yes, these guys are all professionals, but you know, personal stuff sometimes becomes overwhelming, and the personal life sometimes interferes or gets in the way of the professional life. So we're gonna have to wait and see how Michael Porter Jr. Reacts to all that's happening this week. Um, and Yeah, I mean, there's really nothing more to say on that one. Um, Switching over to baseball, let me give you the happenings from yesterday. We will go with the scores, and then I will give you the standings. So yesterday, it was the Reds over the Angels 7-1. It was the Yankees over the Rays 5-3. The Mets beat the Dodgers 9-4. The Cubs beat the Marlins 8-3. The Red Sox beat the Pirates 8-1. The Phillies goose egged the White Sox 7-0. The assholes beat the Nationals 5-3. The Guardians totally beat up the Athletics 10-2. The Atlanta Braves beat the world champion Texas Rangers 8-3. It was the Royals over the Orioles 9-4, and it was the Tigers over the Twins 5-4. The Brewers in 10 innings beat the Cardinals 2-1. The Rockies and Mariners game was postponed because of inclement weather. The game will be made up tomorrow, the 21st. It was the Blue Jays over the Padres 5-1, and it was the Diamondbacks crushing the hated ones, the hated San Francisco Giants 17-1. In the early standings, folks, as there's been about 20 games played, give or take. In the American League, in the East, it is the Yankees leading the way at 14-6, followed by the Orioles at 12-7. Toronto is 11-9. Tampa Bay is 11-10, and Boston is 11-10. In the Central, Cleveland is 14-6, tied with the Yankees for not quite the best record, the second best record in the league. Then it is the Royals at 13-7, the Tigers at 11-9, the Minnesota Twins at 6-12, and the White Sox at a league worst 3-16. In the West, it is the Angels. Excuse me, it is the Rangers at 11-10. The Mariners are 9-10. The Angels are 9-11. Oakland is 8-12, and right where they belong, the Houston Assholes are 7-14. In the National League, it is with the best record in all of baseball. The Atlanta Braves are 13-5. The Phillies are 12-8. The Mets are 11-8. The Washington team is 8-11. The Miami is 4-16. In the Central, it is the Brewers at 12-6. The Cubs are 12-7. The Pirates are 11-9. The Reds are 10-9, and the Cardinals are 9-11. In the West, it is the Los Angeles Dodgers at 12-10, followed by the Padres at 11-11. The Diamondbacks are 10-11. The hated ones are 9-12, and the Rockies are 4-15. So that gives you the scores from yesterday and the standings in Major League Baseball. And let's go back to my notes. As leading the way, this was announced, I believe it was Wednesday, and the woman who accused Major League pitcher Trevor Bauer of sexual assault has been indicted by the grand jury in Arizona on a felony charge of fraudulent schemes and theft by extortion. Darcy Adana Esimanu, no, quote, knowingly did obtain a benefit from Trevor Anthony Bauer by means of fraudulent pretenses, representation, promises, and/or material omissions, according to the indictment dated March 19th and filed Monday in the Superior Court of Arizona in Maricopa County. Esamano also knowingly did obtain or sought to obtain property or services by means of threat to, in the future, expose a secret or an asserted fact in a social media message or any other matter involving another individual, according to the indictment. The individual is not associated with Bauer, according to ESPN. Esamano did not respond to messages seeking comment. The prosecutor listed on the indictment could not be reached late Tuesday. For comments, this was Tuesday. An arraignment hearing in the case is scheduled for April 26 in Maricopa County. It says that Esamano filed a lawsuit against Bauer in 2022 and later updated it in 2023, alleging he sexually assaulted her in 2020, which led to an unplanned pregnancy. It says in court filings, Bauer's attorneys described the situation as a single sexual encounter that was consensual. Bauer countersued Esamano for fraud, saying that she was attempting to harass and extort money from him in the wake of similar allegations made by 3 other women. In a statement provided by ESPN by his lawyers, Bauer said Esamano demanded $3.6 million from him and claimed I forced her to have an abortion. And when I refused to pay her the $3.6 million she was asking for, she made up a bogus sexual assault claim and filed a civil lawsuit against me. Attorneys listed for Esamano in her lawsuit did not respond to any messages. It says Esamano reported an alleged assault to the Scottsdale Police Department in December of 2022, a week after she filed a suit to Bauer. It says when Esamano was interviewed by a detective following her allegation of sexual assault, she initially stated that she had a miscarriage, but later referred to the miscarriage as an abortion. She later told the detective she did not have an abortion, but miscarried just before going to a clinic located in another state, according to the report. The detective added that the medical records she had provided did not indicate whether she was in fact pregnant. In January 2023, one of Bauer's attorneys and Chapman also contacted the Scottsdale Police Department to file a criminal complaint accusing Esamano of theft by extortion. According to that complaint, Chapman told police that Esamano had demanded financial compensation from her client for a pregnancy and abortion that was alleged to be false. As we all know, the Dodgers cut ties with Bowers in January 2023 after the 2020 Cy Young Award winner received an unprecedented suspension by Major League Baseball following allegations of sexual assault by a woman in California and at least 2 others. Bauer has denied all allegations. And as we found out, and we all took that stance here at Sports Talk with the guys that that they were just allegations, and this went on for a while, back and forth. That we talked almost weekly about it when it first came out, how the stories were changing, how in Pasadena and in LA County, that the prosecutors for the city of Pasadena and the county, they were taking their time with this, and then when everything came out that they filed text messages and everything saying that it was pretty much a setup. Um, It was found out, of course, Bauer, may have had an encounter with her, but it was consensual. And his Major League Baseball career was pretty much ruined by this woman. He's trying to make his way back to baseball, but no one has really um, uh, given him a chance. So, unfortunately, he is still trying to fight to get back, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. Also in Major League Baseball, um, the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration, and United Airlines are investigating an incident involving the Colorado Rockies during a charter flight from Denver to Toronto. In a since deleted video posted on social media, Rockies hitting coach Hensley Merlins is seen sitting in the pilot seat in the cockpit while the plane is in flight. He, quote, had some fun in the cockpit on our flight from Denver to Toronto. Thanks to the captain and the first officer of our United charter that allowed me to have this great experience, end quote. Merlins wrote in a caption for a social media post. A United spokesman said the airline was conducting its own investigation of the April 10th flight. The airline said the cockpit was a clear cockpit visit was a clear violation of our safety and operational policies and was reported to the FAA. Says we are deeply this is from United Airlines. We are deeply disturbed by what we see in that video, which appears to show an unauthorized person in the flight deck at cruise altitude while autopilot was engaged. United spokesman Russell Carlton said the pilots on the flight have been withheld from service while the airline investigates. A spokesman for the FAA says it does not comment on details of an open investigation, but noted that federal regulations restrict flight deck access to specific individuals. Merlins was not available for comment in the Rockies clubhouse on Friday, but manager Bud Black said Merlins was contrite and his job was not in jeopardy. So we all know that's pretty much the kiss of death, guys. Um, Says Bam Bam, he apologized. I guess it's his nickname. Black says, I can't comment really any further because of what is being called an investigation of the matter. As far as Bam Bam goes, he apologized to the Rockies, apologized to United, and apologized to the team. Says Major League Baseball said is aware of the monitoring, is made aware and is monitoring the federal investigations by the FAA. Merlin's in his second year with the team as a hitting coach. He has previously served as coach and manager for the Dutch national team. Colorado, who is 4-13, has lost 5 straight, including his final 2 games against the Blue Jays. So he is, in fact, in a lot of trouble. Um, Interesting that they would have allowed him to sit in the cockpit, even though the plane was in fact an autopilot. But anything could have happened. They could have hit a air pocket. He could have touched something that he wasn't supposed to, and a lot of woulda, coulda, shoulda could have happened. But the fact is, I don't know about these people that like to video everything and then they delete it and think once they delete it, it's gone. As we all know, once you put it out there on the internet, it never actually disappears. Some sad news came out of New York. Whitey Herzog, the gruff and ingenious Hall of Fame manager who guided the Cardinals to 3 pennants and a World Series in the 80s and perfected an intricate nail-biting strategy known as Whitey Ball, has died. He was 92. Cardinal spokesman Brian Bartow said Tuesday the team had been informed of Herzog's death by his family. Herzog, who had been at Busch Stadium on April 4th for the Cardinals home opener, died on Monday. Excuse me, folks. Whitey Herzog devoted his lifetime to the game he loved, excelling as a leader on and off the field. Jane Forbes Clark, chair of the Hall of Fame Board of Directors, said in a statement, Whitey always brought his best out of every player he managed with a forthright style that won and respect throughout the game. Uh, this is why I love Whitey. This is the way he's described. A crew cut, pot-bellied tobacco chewer who had no patience for the buddy-buddy school of management. Excuse me. Herzog joined the Cardinals in 1980, helped end the team's decade-plus pennant throughout the route by adapting it to artificial surface and uh, distant fences of Busch Memorial Stadium. A typical Cardinals victory under Herzog was a low-scoring one-run game, sealed in the final innings by bullpen by committee. Um, relievers who might be replaced after a single pitch or temporarily shifted to the outfield and brought back to the mound. Yeah, Whitey was one of a kind. He was a throwback. It says under Herzog, the Cards won pennants in 82, 85, and 87, and the World Series in 82 when they edged the Milwaukee Brewers in 7 games. He also managed the Kansas City Royals division titles in 76, 77, and 78, but they lost each time to the league championship to the New York Yankees. Uh, a great manager, lived a full life, 92 years old. And one more unfortunate death, but he, Carl Erskine, who pitched 2 no-hitters and was a mainstay on the Brooklyn Dodgers and was a 20-game winner in 1953 when he struck out a then record 14 in the World Series, died on Tuesday. He was 97 years old. He died at a community hospital in Anderson, Indiana. Uh, he was among the last survivors from the celebrated Brooklyn team of the 50s. Erskine spent his entire major league career with the Dodgers from 48 to 59, helping them win 5 National League pennants. The right-hander had a career record of 122 wins, 78 losses, with an ERA of 4.00, with 981 strikeouts. Erskine's best season was in 53 when he went 20-6 to lead the National League. He won Game 3 of the World Series, beating the Yankees 3-2 in Ebbets Field. He struck out 14, retiring the side of the ninth for a World Series record that stood until Dodgers ace Sandy Koufax got 15 in 1963. The Dodgers went on to lose the 53 series in 6 games as the Yankees won their 5th consecutive championship. Erskine leaves uh, Koufax as Sandy Koufax as the lone surviving Dodger that played in that World Series team. Uh, as they say, then there were one. Um, I believe that he is the last Brooklyn Dodger, or second to last. So now Sandy Koufax is the last Brooklyn Dodger. Uh, so it says in 1952, Erskine had a career best 2.70 ERA and won 14 games. The following year, he led with a .769 winning percentage, along with 187 strikeouts and 16 complete games, all career highs for him. So, condolences to the Dodgers family and his family. Let's see, Erskine accuser. As we all know, women's basketball has been taking a front seat, and the spotlight is on them. Some of the biggest viewership for the NCAA women's finals as I believe they said 14.2 million watched that game. Iowa did lose because of everybody. The spotlight is on Caitlin Clark, superb outside shooter, led her team to two straight NCAA finals. Unfortunately, coming up short both times, but she did declare for the draft, yeah, the women's NBA draft, and of course, the Indiana Fever, who had the number one pick, picked her as the number one uh, pick in the this year's NBA WNBA draft, and it was the viewership just for the draft alone shattered the old record. Uh, the draft was Monday night, and it averaged a record 2.45 million views. It says viewership peaked at 3.09 million. Um, the old record was last year, which drew 572,000. Excuse me. The previous draft record was 601,000 in 2004 when Diana Taurasi went number one overall. So women's basketball is on the uptick, which is great. A lot of people are complaining about the fact that her average rookie salary is going to be about $78,000 a year, whereas Victor Win Bayou, sorry about that, I butchered that one, of the Spurs, which of course was this year's rookie. He averages about $12 million a year, and of course people are in uproar about it. But that saying that the women should be earning that kind of money. The problem is the women do not bring in that kind of money. It's all about business, folks. Yes, they should be compensated, but you have to be able to bring in the viewership. You have to be able to bring in the fans and sell the merch. The fact that the NBA has to subsidize the WNBA just so that they can keep in operations is telltale, right there alone. So for all the people that are complaining that, oh, they earn so much less, this and that, my question to you is, how many WNBA games do you watch? How many WNBA games do you actually go to? How much WNBA merchandise do you personally own that you bought? So for other people out there that are complaining, I agree that the women should be paid more, but the fact is the business isn't there to justify it. As I said, the WNBA subsidizes them, um, the NBA subsidizes the WNBA. The NBA actually owns 50% of the WNBA, and the other 50% is owned by the other 12 teams. Uh, and even then, like I said, they're not making money. So for all the people out there complaining about the disparity in the salaries, um, start going to games. Start actually supporting the team. Team gets supported, then revenue goes up. Once revenue goes up, then that changes into salary. The salary's going up. Um, so I hope having someone like Caitlin Clark, who is making it exciting to watch WNBA basketball because of her 3-point range. Hopefully, the influx of these new and exciting players that are coming out of college will help uh, elevate the game of the NBA, WNBA. So, I hope it does, but we'll have to wait and see. Um, but so I'm not sure what more I can say about that. Okay, guys, let's switch to the NFL. Lots of things happening there. Um, The NFL, the Baltimore Ravens wide receiver Zay Flowers will now be disciplined by the NFL after being involved in a domestic violence investigation earlier this year, the league announced in a statement on Thursday. They said, quote, following a review, the NFL concluded there was insufficient evidence to support a finding that Zay Flowers engaged in any activity that violated the NFL's personal conduct policy. There will be no action taken by the league, and Flowers remain eligible to participate in all team activities. This decision comes about 2 months after the Baltimore County Police suspended a domestic violation investigation involving Flowers, who was never charged. The alleged incident occurred on January 16th in Owings Mills, Maryland. According to a police report, a woman said she was involved in a violent domestic incident with an NFL player. She told the police the player's brother pulled a gun on her. Flowers, who is 23, set the Ravens rookie record last season with 77 receptions and 858 receiving yards. He was the 22nd pick in the draft a year ago. Uh, News coming out of Buffalo as the owner Terry Paguglia is looking for potential sale of a minority interest in the team. They said in a statement on Friday, while emphasizing there was no new investment that would involve changing Paguglia family controlling interest. The Paguglia family has retained Allen and Company to explore the potential sale of a non-controlling minority interest in the Bills. These discussions only involve the Bills and no other team. No investment would be possible without Terry Paguglia and the Paguglia family maintaining the controlling interest in the team. Their continued commitment to Western New York, the new Highmark Stadium, our fans, and other teams in the portfolio remain unchanged. Neither the team nor the Paguglia family are able to comment further on this point. The Pagulas, who also own the Buffalo Sabres, the National Lacrosse League Buffalo Bandits, and the Rochester Nighthawks, and the American Hockey League Rochester Americans, purchased the Bills in 2014 for $1.4 billion. Forbes reported in August the Bills now are worth $3.7 billion, while Paguglia is now worth $6.8 billion. Washington Commanders sold in July for a record $6.5 billion. The Bills are amid construction on a new Highmark Stadium, which is being built across the street from the current stadium in Orchard Park. The stadium, which was initially expected to cost $1.4 billion, received a then historic $850 million in public funding, with the Pagulas handling all the additional costs. So let's see. It says ESPN reported in March the NFL is looking into potentially altering regulations surrounding team ownership, including private equity firms being a possibility, as many of the professional leagues, such as the NBA, Major League Baseball, and the NHL, allow. So that'd be interesting. So let scorekeeper know that he could possibly own part of the uh, Buffalo Bills. Good morning, Roz. I hope you are doing well this fine morning. Uh, how is the weather in New York? It is actually going to be probably the first spring weekend here in SoCal that we've had, as it's been raining almost every weekend since I can't remember when it hasn't. Oh, that's better. So the Dak Prescott situation, folks. So lawsuit filed in Texas against Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott by a woman accusing him of sexual assault has been moved to Collin County from Dallas County, according to the plaintiff's attorney. Last week, the suit was dropped in Dallas County after uh, attorney for the accuser, Yoel Zehai, um, She submitted a request for a non-suit without prejudice, which allowed the accuser to refile the suit later. In an email, uh, Zahai, I guess it's Zahai. Zahai said the move to Collin County was made for purposes of convenience since Prescott initials suit seeking damages was brought in that county. In March, Prescott filed a suit seeking monetary relief in excess of $1 million after receiving a letter in January from attorneys Bethel and Zahai on behalf of the woman accusing Prescott of sexually assaulting her in February 2017, according to the suit. The letter stated, despite the tragic event, she is willing to forego pursuing criminal charges along with disclosing this information to the public in exchange for compensating her for her mental anguish she has suffered. Uh, she is she is wanting damages in the value of $100 million. In answer to your question, Roz, I don't know. It's raining, but it's not cold. Oh, so you got the rain. So it finally made it over to the East Coast. All of our rain. That's funny. I'm glad it's not that cold. I think everybody's tired of winter. Puxatawny Phil got it wrong this year, because he didn't see a shadow. So winter was supposed to be over 2 weeks after that, and that just did not happen. So Puxatawny Phil, uh, got to get better at it. Actually, the funny thing is, with that, I think Puxatawny Phil has an actual being right. He's only right like 45 or 42% of the time. So he's not a real good predictor of when winter will be over. Back to the Prescott thing. So, as I said, she wanted $100 million. In his suit, Prescott committed to donate any such relief to the Joyful Heart Foundation or others like-minded organizations. The accuser then filed a civil complaint and a police report over the alleged incident that occurred in 2017. In March, Prescott's attorney, Levi McCatherine, called it a completely fabricated story, and Prescott never engaged in any non-consensual sexual conduct with anyone. Police said this week that investigation is still active, and Prosper, Texas police are investigating Prescott, Prescott's extortion claims against the accuser. Yeah, I would say it is definitely that. Uh, asking for $100 million, that's a lot of money. Uh, okay. Got some more update on Rashid Rice. So Rashid Rice and Teddy Knox are now being sued in Texas for over $1 million in actual damages and $10 million in punitive damages by two people who say they were injured in the six-wheel crash on March 30th in Dallas. The plaintiffs, Edward Provisky and Irina Gormova, allege Rice and Knox deliberately raced the vehicles at speeds well beyond the posted speed limit, causing the six-vehicle crash that led to their injuries. Rice, of course, who was a wide receiver for the World Champion Chiefs, was the leaseholder of both vehicles and was driving one at the time of the crash. Knox, a football player and former teammate of Rice's at SMU, was driving the other. Rice, who is 23, and Knox, who is 21, are each facing one count of aggravated assault, one count of collision involving serious bodily injury, and 6 counts of collision involving injury. The lawsuit, uh, in the lawsuit, Petrovsky and Gromova claim injuries that include brain trauma, cuts to the face requiring stitches, bruises, disfigurement, and internal bleeding. They are asking for actual damages that include medical care, physical pain and suffering, loss of earning capacity, mental anguish, and property damage of $71,120.69. On April 3rd, Rice said on the Instagram post that he took full responsibility for his actions. Uh, Earlier Monday, Chiefs Andy Reid said that the team expressed Rice to participate as they begin their offseason program Monday with virtual meetings. Reid would not say whether the Chiefs were planning on having Rice participate later in the spring when they moved the program to Kansas City. I want to keep gathering the information from the law enforcement people, Reid said. We'll just see where everything goes from there and let the process take place. Knox has been suspended by SMU, which said in a statement last week that it takes these allegations very seriously. There was one more. So the executor of the O.J. Simpson estate has reversed his stance uh, on working to prevent a payout of $33.5 million judgment of the $33.5 million judgment awarded by the jury to families of Simpson's ex-wife Nicole Brown Simpson and her friend Ronald Goldman in the wrongful death lawsuit. Attorney Malcolm Leverd had told the Las Vegas Review Journal last week that his hope was that the Goldmans get zero, nothing, and that he will do everything in his capacity as executor or personal representative and try to ensure that they get nothing. This was last week. However, on Monday, in a telephone call to the Hollywood Reporter, uh, Laverne changed his opinion. I can tell you in advance, Fred Goldman, which is Ronald Goldman's father's claim, will be accepted, and his claim will be handled in accordance with Nevada law. Simpson died, of course, last Wednesday without having paid the lion's share of the civil judgment that was awarded in 1997 after jurors found him liable. With his assets set to go through a probate process, the Goldman and Brown families could be in line to get paid a piece of whatever Simpson left behind. Laverne, who represented Simpson since 2009, said his comments to the Review Journal were not directed toward Fred Goldman, but instead to the attorneys representing him. Within an hour of knowing that OJ died, he started talking BS. My advocate instinct was, oh, you're going to keep talking about him even after he's dead? He told the publication, fine, you get nothing. And so those were my remarks then. But I backtracked, and they were pretty much harsh remarks, and now I'm going in the other direction. Of course, Simpson earned fame and fortune through football and show business, but his legacy, of course, was forever changed by the June 1994. Can't believe it's been 30 years. The June 1994 knife slaying of his ex-wife and Ronald Goldman in Los Angeles. He was acquitted of criminal charges in 1995. Fred Goldman, the lead plaintiff, always said the issue was never the money. It was only against holding Simpson responsible. He said in a statement Thursday night that Simpson's death was the hope for true accountability has ended. Says the Goldman and Brown families will be at least on equal footing with other creditors and will probably have an even stronger claim as Simpson's estate is settled under terms established by the trust created in January. The will lists his 4 children and notes that any beneficiary who seeks to challenge provisions of the will shall receive free of trust $1 and no more in lieu of any claimed interest in the will he or she asserts. Laverne told the Hollywood Reporter that he has been hyper transparent with families and shows my homework with them as he tries to get the estate in order. Simpson said he had lived only on his NFL and private pensions. Hundreds of valuable possessions have been seized as part of the jury award, and Simpson was forced to auction off his Heisman Trophy with it fetching $230,000. So I guess the Simpson story, I guess, is now closed. Hopefully, the Goldmans and Nicole's family get something. As you know, as I read and stated, OJ, the award, the Goldman Award was, I believe, 23.5 million. And from my understanding, OJ Simpson paid less than $1 million. So in total, throughout all these last 30 years. So hopefully they get something. Hopefully with OJ's death, uh, they feel that they got the closure. Um, of course, we'll never know what actually happened. Everybody has their own personal opinions. I stated mine last week. Um, so yeah. Okay. I actually have gone through all my NFL news, and I don't have any co-hosts that decided to pop in, so it looks like we're going to be ending this very, very early, folks. I apologize. Um, it's kind of hard doing a 4-hour show by yourself if there's no give and take back and forth. So I do apologize, folks. Hopefully, we'll have a full complement of everyone. I do want to thank Roz for coming in and sharing her time with us. I always appreciate talking to Roz. Great, great, great person. Great New Yorker. And I always love seeing you on Facebook. I was trying to give you my hearts and likes. But I want to thank everyone for joining me today. Baseball season, of course, is starting. Just started. You know, as I said, there were about 20 games in, so baseball season's starting to get into you know full swing. They're in their first month. We'll see how everything works out. Um, Interesting that the teams that always seem to do well are once again near the top. The teams that year in year out seem to do bad are at the bottom of the list. So baseball's taking shape as normal. Um, as I said, the best time of the NBA is happening right now as the playoffs start. I am hoping for the best for my Lakers and go Mets. There you go. I'm hoping the best for my Lakers. If the Lakers can somehow get by the world champs, and it will be a daunting task. The Denver Nuggets are out to prove that last year was not a one time thing. And they had a very great season. They finished, I believe, with one game behind the. In fact, you know what? Let me give that real quick. Um, the NBA standings at the end of the year. So, uh, the season ended last Sunday, and of course, this week has been the play-in tournament. But for the end of the season, guys, these are the standings in the Eastern Conference. Boston finished with, as I said, the best record in the NBA by far. They were 64 and 18, followed by the New York Knicks, 50 and 32. Milwaukee was 49 and 33. Cleveland was 48 and 34, very respectable fourth place. The Orlando Magic were 47 and 35. The Pacers were 47 and 35. The Philadelphia 76ers were 47 and 35. The Miami Heat were 46 and 36. The Bulls were 39 and 43. The Atlanta Braves let's get the Atlanta Braves. The Atlanta Hawks were 36 and 46. Now the Bulls and the Hawks were the only two teams that played sub 500 ball to make it into the playoffs, and they made it into the playoff tournament. Um, and neither one got past the play-in round. Uh, then after Atlanta, it was the Brooklyn Nets at 32 and 50, Toronto Raptors at 25 and 57. The Charlotte Hornets were 21 and 61. The Washington Wizards were 15 and 67. And with the worst record in the NBA, the Detroit Pistons were 14 and 68. In the Western Conference, it was the upstart Oklahoma City Thunder, as I said, with the best record. Uh, or actually, they were tied for the best record in the West, but because of the head-to-head competition, Oklahoma City Thunder took the number one spot at 57 and 25. As I said, they were the youngest, or are the youngest, um, number one seed ever at an average age of, as I said, 23.3 years, I believe. Um, Taking the number two spot, also with a record of 57 and 25, are the world champion Denver Nuggets. Then it is the Minnesota Timberwolves at 56 and 26. The Clippers were 51 and 31. The Mavericks were 50 and 32. The Phoenix Suns were 49 and 33. My Lakers were 47 and 35. Um, and they took the seventh spot because of the play-in tournament, even though their record is not as good as the New Orleans Pelicans were 49 and 33, but because the Lakers beat the Pelicans in the 7-8 play-in tournament, the Lakers then flipped from 8 to 7. So technically, it would have been the New Orleans Pelicans at 49 and 33, then the Lakers at 47 and 35. But because of the win, they gave the Lakers the number seven spot. Um, After the Lakers at 47 and 35, it is in the Sacramento Kings at 46 and 36. Golden State Warriors also 46 and 36. The Kings and the Golden State Warriors were the two play-in teams playing for the 9-10 spot. We're in the 9 and 10 spot. Neither of them made it into the regular playoffs. Um, then it was the Houston Rockets at 41 and 41. The Utah Jazz were 31 and 51. The Memphis Grizzlies were 27 and 55. The San Antonio Spurs were 22 and 60. And Portland was in last place in the West at 21 and 61. So those were the standings for the season. I gave the playoff bracket already. And let me see if there's any updated news in the NBA. Nothing really. Yep, nothing changed. Everything is going on. Let me see scores. Let me see. So, in the betting scheme, if you're a better, folks, the for today's games, um, excuse me, the Cavaliers are 4.5 point favorites over the Magic. The Timberwolves are 1.5 point favorites over the Suns. The Knicks are 3.5 point favorites over the Knicks, and the Nuggets are 7.5 point favorites over my Lakers. In tomorrow's games, um, let's see, where's the morning? There it is. Morning game. The Celtics are 13.5 point favorites over the Heat. The Mavericks are 2.5 point favorites over the Clippers, and that is mainly because of Kawhi Leonard, who is having knee problems again, and he's pretty much going to be a game time decision. Although everybody's saying that he will be playing in the game. Excuse me one second, folks. Then it is the Bucks, who are underdogs. The Pacers are 1.5 point favorites. And then in the Thunder Pelicans games, The Oklahoma City Thunder are 8.5 point favorites over the Pelicans. So that is all. If you're a bettor, good luck to you. Um, there's a lot of. We'll see who the Cinderella teams are as we go further, and hopefully my Lakers are one of them. But we shall see. We shall see. Anyways, folks. Once again, I'm sorry that I didn't have any co-hosts to bounce some uh, conversations back and forth with. But you know, we still had a great time. Give you all the news of the happenings of the week uh, as up to date as possible as I could, and I did have a great time. I want to once again thank Roz for joining me today, and anybody out there who was listening. Uh, if you like what you hear or have liked what you heard, make sure you please give us a like and give us a follow. Um, I did make sure that this was on all the platforms. So this was on Facebook. It was on X and on YouTube. So we were across all platforms on this one. And like I said, glad you guys could join us today. Uh, have a great, fun, and safe rest of your weekend and rest of your week. And we will join you next Saturday. Always remember, have all the fun you want. Don't drink and drive. If you decide to drink, please don't get behind the wheel. Call an Uber, call a Lyft, call a friend. Just don't get behind that wheel and try and drive home. So have a safe one, guys. Enjoy it. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you next week. Sports Talk with the guys, signing off.